You're standing in an airport terminal at 6 in the morning, bleary-eyed, carry-on digging into your shoulder, and your stomach is making noises that would concern a doctor. So you do what every traveler does. You wander up to a cooler, grab something wrapped in plastic, hand over $15, and immediately regret every decision that brought you to this moment. Here's the thing, airports are a $40 billion a year retail machine, and you're the product moving through the pipeline. Once you're past that security checkpoint, you can't leave, you can't comparison shop, and the markups run anywhere from 30 to 400% above normal retail. At Newark, the average meal costs over $23 despite 70% of restaurants earning sub 3-star ratings. You're paying a premium for food designed to survive a shelf life, not satisfy a human being. So let's break down the 5 airport foods that are a total scam and 3 that are actually, surprisingly, worth your money. Because the next time you're stuck in a terminal with a growling stomach and a shrinking wallet, you deserve to know where your dollars should actually go. Smash that subscribe button because we're about to save you from some seriously expensive disappointments. Scam number 5, pre-cut fruit cups. This is the one that gets you because it feels responsible. You're trying to eat healthy while traveling, you spot a little plastic cup of cantaloupe and honeydew near the register, and you think, how bad could it be? $6 to $8 bad. For about 8 ounces of melon chunks that were cut at a facility somewhere, shipped to the airport, and have been slowly losing flavor in that cooler ever since. The cantaloupe is watery and soft. The honeydew tastes like nothing. If there are grapes, they're mushy. The whole thing has that faint plastic aftertaste that comes from food sealed in a container for too long. Here's where it gets infuriating. A whole cantaloupe at a grocery store costs about $3 and yields enough fruit to fill 10 of those airport cups. You're paying a roughly 800% markup for someone to cut fruit badly and put it in a container. And the healthy angle is mostly theater. By the time that fruit reaches you, a lot of the nutritional value has degraded from oxidation and extended storage. Pre-cut produce loses quality fast once it's chopped, and the convenience premium you're paying doesn't come with a freshness guarantee. Bottom line, you're not buying nutrition. You're buying the feeling of having made a good decision. And that feeling costs $7. Scam number 4, duty-free chocolate and snacks. This is the scam that hides behind 2 magic words, duty-free. Travelers see that sign and their brain whispers, deal. It's not. The tax savings on chocolate and snacks are minimal, and the base price markup more than compensates. And get this, a Snickers mini pouch costs about $5.70 at Target. At a duty-free shop, $14.50. That's a 163% markup. A 360-gram Toblerone actually costs more in duty-free than at a regular retail store. Travel experts consistently warn that sweets and snacks are the worst deal in the entire duty-free section. The marketing is clever though. Everything comes in oversized packaging with bright colors and phrases like exclusive and travel edition. But the product inside is identical to what's sitting on a shelf at your local supermarket for half the price. Duty-free shops run on vacation brain. You're in transit, spending doesn't feel real, and the word free is doing heavy psychological lifting. Meanwhile, with cocoa prices surging past $10,000 per metric ton in 2025, up from about $2,000 in 2022, airport chocolate is becoming an even worse deal as those costs cascade to the shelf. The only thing free about duty-free chocolate is the free pass your brain gives your wallet, but at least the chocolate won't make you sick, which is more than I can say for our next entry. Scam number 3, grab and go sushi. This is where the list gets genuinely concerning. We're not just talking about overpriced anymore. We're talking about a legitimate food safety gamble. Prepackaged airport sushi sits in display cases of questionable temperature control, costs $15 to $18 a tray, and the CDC specifically warns against consuming raw or undercooked seafood due to bacterial contamination risk. The rice is dry and clumpy from refrigeration. The fish has that rubbery, slightly slimy texture that tells you freshness left the building long before you arrived. And the wasabi is that bright green paste made from horseradish and food coloring, not actual wasabi. Food safety experts have flagged this directly. If raw fish isn't kept cold enough, harmful histamines formed from bacteria lead into food poisoning. Airport. Display cases already struggle to stay at proper temperatures. One TripAdvisor reviewer at O'Hare described tempura shrimp that was hard from sitting in an oven. sushi quality that was horrifically poor, and a final bill of $40 for 2 items. What makes this particularly reckless is the timing. You're risking food poisoning hours before being sealed in a pressurized metal tube at 35,000 feet with 2 tiny restrooms shared among 200 people. Think about that math for a second. $18 to find out if your immune system can take a punch at altitude with no escape. Hard pass. Scam number 2, prepackaged sandwiches. You know the ones. They're sitting in a refrigerated case near the gate, wrapped in a triangular plastic coffin, looking like they gave up on life somewhere around Tuesday. A basic turkey and Swiss will cost you $9 to $12. That same sandwich, made at home, costs under $2 in ingredients. But the price isn't even the real problem. The real kicker is the quality. These sandwiches are produced in bulk at off-site commissaries, packed for extended shelf life, and shipped to airports where they sit under fluorescent lights until someone desperate enough grabs one. The bread is soggy from condensation inside the packaging. The lettuce is limp. The tomato is that weird pale pink that tomatoes turn after being refrigerated too long. And the meat has that uniform processed sheen that says I was sliced by a machine 3 days ago. Airports aren't banking on repeat customers here. They're banking on the 20-minute before board and panic window. You're at the gate, boarding is about to start, and you'll grab whatever's closest because you don't have time for anything else. The positioning near gates is the product. The sandwich is just the excuse to charge you $12. Travelers at major U.S. airports pay 15 to nearly 50% more for the exact same items found outside the terminal. You're not paying for food, you're paying a convenience tax to your own desperation. Scam number 1, bottled water. The number 1 airport food scam isn't food at all. It's water, the most basic human necessity, weaponized by security regulations and airport retail economics. A bottle that costs under $1 at a grocery store routinely sells for $4 to $6 past security. At JFK, a traveler reported paying $7.66 for a single liter of smart water, and the payment tablet had the nerve to ask for a tip. The same bottle retails for about $2.19 at Target. In Minneapolis-St. Paul, investigators found a Hudson News charging 69% more than a nearby Walgreens despite the airport's own street pricing policy. Here's what makes this the number 1 scam. It's not voluntary. TSA regulations prohibit liquids over 3.4 ounces through security. You're forced to dump your water before the checkpoint, walk through, and buy it. Back at triple the price on the other side. They manufactured the scarcity. Water bottles are the single best-selling product across all 950 U.S. airport stores operated by the Hudson Group. They dominate the top 5 spots on the bestseller list. Airports derive nearly half their total revenue from non-aeronautical sources, like concessions, and the water bottle markup is the purest expression of the captive audience model ever invented. The fix is almost insultingly simple. Bring an empty reusable bottle through security and fill it at a hydration station. Most major airports have them now. You'll save $5 to $8 every single trip. $8 for water. They made you pour out your own supply, then sold it back to you. That's not hydration. That's a hostage negotiation. If this is already saving you from a bad purchase, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's next, because it's not all bad news. Now let's talk about the 3 airport foods that are surprisingly worth it. Worth it number 3, bringing your own food through security. This is the one most travelers don't even realize is an option. TSA's messaging around no liquids has created a false assumption that food is banned too. It's not. Solid food items are allowed through security in your carry-on. Sandwiches, fruit, granola bars, nuts, chips, baked goods, crackers, all of it goes right through the X-ray machine. Their only restriction is on liquids and gels over 3.4 ounces. They stop at a grocery store or deli before the airport sets you up with a better meal than anything in the terminal. A deli sandwich, a bag of trail mix, an apple, maybe some crackers. Total cost, $5 to $7. Airport equivalent, $20 to $30. Flight attendants and frequent flyers have been doing this for years. It's the single most effective money-saving travel hack, and it requires about 3 minutes of effort the night before your flight. Nobody's going to be impressed watching you unwrap a homemade turkey wrap at gate C12. But your wallet will thank you, your stomach will thank you, and you won't spend the first 2 hours of your flight regretting a $14 airport burrito that tasted like a microwave's cry for help. Bringing your own food to the airport is the financial equivalent of bringing a packed lunch to a casino. Everyone else is paying the house. You walked in with the answer, and if you're finding this ranking useful, hit the like button. It really helps the channel cut through the noise. Worth it. Number 2, chef-driven airport restaurants. Not every airport restaurant is a scam. A small but growing number of terminals now host outposts from legitimate, respected chefs, and the food is genuinely good. The problem isn't that good airport food doesn't exist. It's that most travelers don't know it's there because they never look. The gold standard is Tortas Frontera by Rick Bayless at Chicago O'Hare. Griddle-pressed Mexican sandwiches made with fresh ingredients, hand-shaken margaritas, and house-made guacamole. You can even pre-order online and have your food weighed in after security. Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson was named the best airport for dining by food and wine in 2025. It has over 160 restaurants, including one flew south, which has been called one of the best airport restaurants in the world. Minneapolis-St. Paul was rated the top airport for customer satisfaction partly because of its food. The key is research. Spend 5 minutes looking up your terminal's dining options before you leave for the airport. Most airports list everything online. Arriving 10 minutes earlier to sit down at a real restaurant instead of grabbing a plastic-wrapped tragedy at the gate costs nothing extra in time and everything in quality. You'll pay roughly $12 to $18, about the same as a bad sandwich plus a bottled water. But the difference in what you're eating is enormous. Rick Bayless makes tortas at O'Hare. Ludacris runs a chicken joint in Atlanta. Your terminal might have better food than your neighborhood. You just never looked. Worth it. Number 1, Farmer's Fridge vending machines. This is the most underrated food option in American airports right now, and it takes the number 1 spot because it solves every problem at once. Price, quality, convenience, availability, and health, all from a vending machine. Farmer's Fridge stocks refrigerated smart vending machines with fresh, chef-crafted salads, grain bowls, wraps, and overnight oats. The food is made daily from real ingredients, hand-chopped lettuce, house-made dressings, actual vegetables that still have color and crunch. A Baja Bowl at JFK costs $8.70. That's cheaper than most of the prepackaged sandwiches we just roasted, and the quality isn't even in the same conversation. A veteran flight attendant posted that a Farmer's Fridge Caesar salad was way better than first-class food, and she wasn't paid to say it. The machines are now in over 20 U.S. airports, including JFK, LAX, O'Hare, and Dallas-Fort Worth, and they're expanding. The most important part? They're available 24/7. When it's 2 a.m. and your connecting flight is in 4 hours and the terminal is a ghost town and every restaurant is shuttered, this machine is still there with a fresh salad and a grain bowl. That alone makes it worth knowing about. For about $10, you can eat something that was actually designed with your taste buds in mind. At the airport, from a vending machine. If that's not the plot twist of the century, I don't know what is. Look, nobody's forcing you to buy a $15 sandwich that tastes like regret. But the airport food system is designed to make it feel like you have no choice. The terminals are engineered so that once you're past security, buying overpriced food feels inevitable. Now you know it's not. The difference between a good airport meal and a bad one isn't money, it's information. Most travelers spend $20 to $30 eating badly because they didn't know the alternatives existed. Skip the bottled water and bring an empty bottle. Walk past the prepackaged sandwiches and the sweaty sushi trays. Ignore the duty-free chocolate that's anything but free. Instead, seek out the Farmer's Fridge machines, research the real restaurants in your terminal, or just bring your own food from home. The best airport meal is the one where you didn't get played. Hit subscribe if this changed how you'll eat at the airport, and drop a comment telling us which ranking you think we got wrong.